Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Dreamers Game 1 where we are playing Yomi. This is turn 39, so let's go ahead and jump into things. First off, we have Conjuration 4 completed. We're going to do a little run-up evocation, but that's it for now. So, Conjuration 4 completed. Take that. And next up, we have... we lost a Bakemono Chief. We lost one of our scouts to a random mind hunt from Relay, which is unfortunate. Definitely was not intended, right? We were just kind of passing through their lands, and we got. So, that's always funny to me. We did a Dark Knowledge that found nothing. But in other side searches, we found a bunch of stuff. So in the Veil of Fortune, we found a Lilium Veil and a Mineral Cave. So let's go and check that real quick. So that's over here just to the south of Agartha. A Lilium Veil is a +1 Death Gem site, and a Mineral Cave is a +1 Earth Gem site. So that's pretty nice. And then in Zenthra, we find an Earthblood Seepage and a Graveyard of the Damned. So that's to the south of Yomi. And Earthblood Seepage is +2 Earth Gems, and Graveyard of the Damned is +2 Death Gems. And that's all we get from our site searching. So we get +3 Earth Gems and +3 Death Gems this turn, which is really, really quite nice, actually. That's really good. That actually brings our total income for Earth to 16, which is pretty damn nice, and 15 for Death, which is also pretty damn nice. We have a pretty nice bank of Death. I'm actually considering just like canceling our other plans and doing a run up Conjuration for Well of Misery. That would honestly probably be a good plan, because then we could do something like Well of Misery, and we could do like Wraith Lord spam, basically, pretty easily. But I have not committed to that concept yet, so I'm unsure about whether or not I want to do that. Anyways, moving onwards, we have a proclamation from Sarmatia, new prophets. We got 6 blood slaves, yay. And then we've got battles. Okay, so we get attacked in Scythia, and this is just counter raiding, but we want to keep an eye on this type of stuff because mostly we want to see, is he changing out his kits? Does he change out what he's doing as far as casts go, like buffs go? But so far it doesn't really look like it. Blessing, fire shield, protection from fire, kind of whatever. And then he just goes in. So that's easy win for him. We get to witness a battle between Ubar and Sarmatia. So Ubar has attacked Sarmatia over the last couple turns. Now we actually get to see a little bit of what's going on there. So Ubar has these Ifrit Sultans, which are very scary. And he's got a couple of different kits going on. Mostly focusing on defense from a defensive statistic, right? They've got regeneration, they've got high magic resistance, very high defense, vine shields, very high fire resistance. But I would assume this dragon helmet is more for morale than it is for fire resistance. And then a stinger, which is, I'm assuming, there for basically repel chance. And then you have this other one, which is a very similar scenario, but a dancing trident for kills, and then main gauche of parrying for even higher defensive statistics. They're up against a little contingent of Sarmatian units, but I don't know if Sarmatia is going to be able to do anything to them. They do have a couple of mages here, but it's really a matter of what those mages are going to be casting. So I'm pretty interested in both sides, so let's check the Ubar side real quick to see what their buff cycle is. Summon Earth Power. Okay, these guys are sacred, but they're... Oh yeah, they are priests, so I'm assuming one of them will bless. So both of them summon Earth Power. Puts their reinvigoration to 4, so they're fatigue neutral. Set up. Blessing. Okay, what's their bless? Morale. I don't know why I always say morale. Poison resistance, cold resistance, defense skill 2, reinvigoration 2, and dark vision. So a very minor bless, truth be told, but the combination of reinvigoration and even higher defense is going to allow them to be very difficult to deal with. Especially considering they're ethereal by base. Not only ethereal, but they are unseen. So this gives combat invisibility. So it makes things very difficult to deal with them. Iron Skin. So now they have 30 protection and 30 defense, right? Like, along with regeneration, so they got Temper Flesh. This is very, very strong. They do occasionally take hits, as you've seen there, right? But in the meantime, what do we have going on? I think we're gonna watch this twice. Oh, that was a thing. Hand of Death. Or was it the Drain Life? Might have been either. Unit overview. Yeah, that's the Hand of Death. Damage roll of 55. Fucking exploding die on that one. Holy shit. Like, hot damn. Can't really do much against that type of situation. That was up against a white mage. Oof. Which is communioned up, right? Pretty damn crazy. Which is basically, I'm assuming, just a twice-born Inari. Very cool. Now can they do anything against this one? Ah, he routes. Gotcha. Pretty interesting. What did they lose here? They did lose some stuff, basically, that they would rather not have lost, right? Like 2 warrior sorceresses, that's not nothing. 2 soothsayers, that's not nothing. Saramation cataphracts, right? But to take out a sultan, right? Like this is a worthy exchange to take out a sultan, especially with all the gear on that sultan, right? So let's check that again. He had. Now they do have, they have earth, so probably have dwarven hammers and things like this, but a stinger is 5 gems, 10, so 15, 20, 30, 35, 45 gems, with reductions probably closer to like, 35 or, 33 or something like that. But that's still a lot of gems and a very expensive cap-only slow-to-recruit unit, I believe. So, basically like a Dione, for us type of situation. So, very powerful unit, but not impervious to shit like that, right? So, very, very interesting to see that type of thing. And then we get attacked in Shambolic. And this is the big force, right? This is what we have feared. The mass of Rephites and several, Melkarts and other mages moving forward towards us. This will be a bad thing to deal with. Okay, so we lose in Shambolic, and then we attack in Earthsore Desert. And this is a small group of Bakemono with Yari against just a little bit of PD. No worries. Let's see if we take any attrition. Pop dead. Pop, pop. Doesn't look like it. Nope, no attrition. Very nice. And then Helheim. Arcocephale. In Arcocephale. Ah. Not much left for Arco, but they have put together what they can. Let's watch it from a big scale. I like the positioning by Helheim. He's got a lot of little clusters in the back to deal with things like Great Eagles. Wailing Winds up. Nice. Bunch of the Van Heers doing storm power. Now that natural storm is up. Lightning bolts and thunder strikes coming out. Bunch of air elementals dropping in. It's the choke in the center. Actually, unfortunately, I think he's got a couple of these trolls in the center, and the trolls are a bit less killy, I would assume, than his own units, his sacreds, because of like the blood surge. I mean, they obviously the trolls hit hard, like really hard, but they have lower attack value, right? So. Doesn't look like there's anything really big coming out of Arcocephale here. Most of their troops are just fleeing. So, looks like this is going to be just a solid victory for Helheim. Yeah. And that is that. Yes, I counter Ubar, god of Arcocephale, has been permanently vanquished. Good job, Helheim. Nicely done. Lost a Atavi chieftain, lost 3 Markata archers, and lost a single troll in that battle. So, holy shit. Very, very strong showing there. Alright, so that's the battles. We did 1 win and 2 losses against Hinnom. Not a very good raid turn for us. So that's unfortunate. Drop that down, and we will check events. Okay, so events. We have rumors of our might swept through the process, and a province and a group of loudmouth Bakemono show have showed up. So over here in Strongdale, we got another 65 Bakemono show, so that's neat. And then in Iron Caverns, we got a handful of magic gems have been found, so +2 nature gems. And in Lama, a local wizard has been lynched after allegations of turning a peasant into a frog. His magical resources have been transported to the lab. So we get +2 fire gems and +3 astral. So total for events, we get +65 Bakemono show, +2 fire gems, +3 astral gems, and +2 nature gems. So pretty cool. Alright. We had a scout discovered and killed by the forces of Hinnom in Hinnom. Unfortunately, we did a little bit of patrolling, and we are starting to starve in Mysia, but that doesn't really matter too terribly much for us. Most of these units do not require food. We do have a couple, like Tsunekage and like our demon generals and things like that. Like these, these Bakemono show, for example. But, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so what are we doing? What movement is happening throughout the Empire? Normal situation within our heartlands. We're mostly just maneuvering people around, like, picking up these Akaoni, moving them out of locations where we don't want unrest, moving them into locations where we don't care about the unrest, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. That's what's happening with the majority of this. We do have a new unit of Bakemono show with Yaris moving out of the Iron Caverns. They're heading towards Flemiston. We have this new group of Bakemono show over here in Strongdale that we need to do something with. We're gonna have to like recruit a Bakemono show or something like that to go pick them up. We are recruiting a Bakemono show in Strongdale to pick them up. So there's that. And other than that, let's take a look at the Hinnom front, right? So we with the defeat, really, because that's basically what this is at this point. With the defeat of Agartha, what I have decided to do is to try to start utilizing some of our stealth abilities to move into Hinnom's western territories, right? So we are moving, like, Tadashi's raiding party, for example. We're moving into Great Mountains this turn. We attacked into Sulfuria last turn. Did we not? Or did we already own Sulfuria? I guess we already owned Sulfuria. I don't remember. Regardless, I feel like we didn't own Sulfuria. Like, that seems very strange to me. But I mean, we don't have a response or anything there. But so we left behind. We took with us a small party, and I don't really remember what happened here, but like, we left behind these Ko-Oni, and the intention was, if I'm remembering correctly, like, the intention was I didn't want to take Ko-Oni with me with Tokimochi because I was worried that, so the Ko-Oni have really shitty morale, right? Like, they have very low morale compared to the Aka-Oni or the Kura-Oni, for example, right? So I didn't want to bring the Ko-Oni with me. I don't know if I just, like, accidentally brought these. Surely I couldn't have generated. I mean, I have no idea how much this can potentially generate in a single turn. Surely we didn't, like, move out with no Ko-Oni and then generate 18 Ko-Oni in a single turn, right? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But regardless, like, I feel like we either that's what happened, or I messed up and I left some Ko-Oni with Tokimochi, because I did not intend to. But now we have them. So for now, I think we're going to just move forward. We're going to attack into Belfields. And the assumption here is like, there's nothing we can do about Jiboro, right? When we moved against Hinnom, we did so under the assumption that Ermor was going to be attacking, right, and move towards Hinnom, like, take these southern territories and move towards Hinnom. That Agartha was going to be able to take their lands back and maybe take some of the northern portions of Hinnom. And then we were just going to take, like, one or two little provinces over here, right? That was the initial concept of our engagement. Every single piece of that has fallen to the wayside, right? Like, Ermor has decided not to engage Hinnom, meaning that point of strength is gone. Agartha has fallen to Hinnom, lost big army engagement versus big army engagement, and is now no longer a threat. So we've moved into this situation where, all right, well, fuck. Now we're in this engagement that probably isn't going to be a great engagement for us, and that is unfortunate. But again, I've gone over this. I'm not 100%. I don't think the matchup is absolutely horrible for us. We have superior raiding capabilities, and we've had a pretty long time at this point after taking over Ulm. We've had a pretty long time of being able to sit and research things and boost up our research and boost up our infrastructure and the amount of free spawn that we're generating, etc., etc. So I'm actually getting to the point where I'm not super duper worried about fighting Hinnom. I do think, like, as to whether or not we'll lose, right? We could lose, but I think we can also win. What is more concerning is the fact that it's not going to be quick, right? It's definitely going to be a protracted war. And as I look at the rest of the game, seeing how big Helheim has gotten, seeing Ubar attack Sarmatia, and now I don't know if Ubar's really winning yet. We saw this victory from Sarmatia, but I don't know if this is a one-off or if this is like the kind of scenario. Like, I don't know if Ubar elfed Sarmatia and now is getting beaten back, right? We're going to have to see how that goes over the next couple turns. But yeah. Our engagement with Hinnom is going to be a bit of a situation. So, what is likely to happen? My assumption is Hinnom is going to bring this big stack, Shambolic, and pop onto Jabero. That's actually perfectly fine, because that is going to take an additional turn, actually an additional 2 turns, right? Because the alternative there is he just marches into Menace, marches into Tapanate, and moves to threaten something like Ulm, or even goes straight for Yomi, right? But instead, if he goes to Jabero, right, that's moving for a turn, pops the fort, then he has to attack the fort, right? And then he can move up. So that actually gives us an extra 2 turns to kind of figure out what we want to do. And probably what we want to do is kind of what we're already doing, right? From a research standpoint, it's just kind of hanging out and continuing to boost up our research. And from a army perspective, you know, if we take a look at this in Shambolic, this is a very strong force. But 97 units. Is this gonna hold against 400 or 500 Ko-Oni, Aka-Oni, Kura-Oni, Oni, multiple Dai-Oni flying over the back, or just, you know, being involved in the attack? Even to the point to where we could shift gears and go for, like, if he starts to move the army towards us, right, we could shift gears and go to, like, Enchantment 5, and then we have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? We have 10 to 15 Horde of Skeleton casters, right? We've got a lot of options, so I'm not especially concerned, but I am worried that this is gonna turn into a very protracted campaign, which is why I believe the requirement is going to be to reinstitute at least one of the 2 starting reasons why we got in this campaign, right? Either Urmor's assistance or Agartha's assistance. Agartha's out, right? Like, I do not think they're going to be able to come back or really offer anything. And Urmor is very much focused on other things at this current point in time. So I'm not going to be able to get either of those, but I could potentially replace one of them. And I think that's going to be the key thing, right? Like, giving Lanka the opportunity, I mean, giving Lanka the opportunity, they already have the opportunity, right? But encouraging the opportunity of Lanka to attack Agarthan lands, Agarthan/Hinnom lands, take that back, and then suddenly Hinnom not having that stuff, and then having to fight me on a narrow front while I'm raiding their territory freely, is going to be very bad for Hinnom in the long run. And I think that is probably the quickest route for me achieving the goal of getting Hinnom out of this. And alternatively, right, like if we decide, oh, this isn't going to be great, what we could do is if we can get Lanka into war with Hinnom, then we can have a situation where, like, okay, Hinnom, we'll peace out with pre-war borders, and you can deal with Lanka at this point, right? So that's going to give us flexibility. That's going to give us options on what we try to decide to do. So that's kind of the overall strategy that's going on right now. Let's take a look at what we are actually doing elsewise. We have a Dark Knowledge firing off, and we have a Voice of Apsu firing off. Is this our first time? Yeah, so this is the first time we'll be doing a Voice of Apsu. We do not have very many water gems, but I think Voice of Apsu only takes 2. Yeah, so we have enough to just cast this forever. So we're going to use that to site search basically the entirety of our domain, and hopefully we'll come across a fair number of water sites and have a nice little water income and figure out something to do with that. And that's pretty much it as far as rituals goes. So rituals, we're just doing some Dark Knowledge and Voice of Apsu. Jot that down. But forging, we are doing way more this turn. As you can see, right, as we mouse over things, We're doing way more this turn than we have been previously. So we've taken a couple turns to like make some dwarven hammers here or there and to produce, lightless lanterns and things like that. But now that we kind of know what is happening, what's going on, we need to get a little more serious about pushing our forging economy. So we are forging. I've got shit spread out all over the place, so rather than try to find it everywhere, I'm just gonna read from the list. So we're forging 1 owl quill, 2 lightless lanterns, 1 thistle mace, 1 charcoal shield, 1 dwarven hammer, and 1 amulet of anti-magic, actually. So let me notate that real down, and then we'll talk about kind of why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we making these things? So the owl quills and the lightless lanterns, right? That's the continuation of just trying to boost up our research speed, trying to get to the point to where we have, 500 plus research so that we can hit particular research goals faster, right? Specifically so that once we have a good base covered, basically once we have all the site searching spells covered, because that's my mental block, we can make decisions on where do we want to run, right? Do we want to run up Conjuration to try to get Well of Misery going? Do we want to switch gears and try to become a Blood Nation, right? We have a little bit of stuff going on there. We could very easily make it over to, vampires or something like that. Don't you touch. We could go for legendaries. We could go Construction 8, right? We could try to rush up Alteration, etc., etc. So we're the owl quills and the continuation of the lightless lanterns. That's just the trying to boost our failing research, so that we can actually make some core decisions there. The Thistle Mace, I think, is actually going to be somewhat important for a number of reasons. And one, that's basically just boosting us in nature, but two, allowing us to... We have to basically do this with our god, which is unfortunate. I hate taking a turn to do something like this with our god, but we don't have it anywhere else, right? We don't have Nature 2 anywhere else. But Nature 2, forging that Thistle Mace is going to give us the option on a shaman to do more stuff, right? To make more Thistle Maces, to then do things like Haruspects, right? To then do things like Rings of Regeneration, etc., etc. So this is going to be, I think, really important. We don't have a very great nature income, but it is fair to middling right now. And I do think the idea of going up Thaumaturgy and being able to more accurately site search via some Haruspects and things like that is probably going to be a good idea for us as well. So that's why we're going the Thistle Mace. The Charcoal Shield is not, honestly, I think, the greatest. Let's take a look at the Charcoal Shield real quick. So the Charcoal Shield, I think, is not the greatest shield in existence, especially considering the cost for not the greatest shield in existence for what we're going to try to do, right? But it is a good shield to deal damage against enemies, against masses of enemies. I don't think it's going to be super useful against Hinnom, though. Like, if we take a look at Shambolic, for example, right? Like, it's gonna do fine against like these Avite light infantry, but it's not gonna do great against these Rephite warriors. Let's see, what does he Divine Blessing? He does. So they have 7 fire resistance. One, they hit way too hard. They'll chop through that shield without much of an issue. And 2, even if they didn't, they have so much fire resistance that a fire shield is not going to deal that much back to them. So I don't like the fire shield play, but I do need access to a couple of shields to be able to deal with stuff potentially, right? And fire shields, like having a couple fire shields on hand, having a couple of vine shields on hand, having a couple of Scutata Volturnuses on hand, are all, I think, really valuable options, okay? And And then the Dwarven Hammer, again, we're just working to try to forge up our economy. And then 2, the Amulet of Anti-Magic. I think that's going to be pretty vital when dealing with Hinnom. Hinnom does have access to a fair amount of astral options. Soul Slay could definitely become an issue. Mind Hunt could potentially become an issue, though that is more difficult for Hinnom to achieve. Just gonna try to start getting that going. We have a little bit of an income as far as astral pearls go, so that should be a good option for it. And that's really pretty much it. So the only thing else that I would note is that our economy, our income has actually been growing the last few turns. Yomi is doing pretty well. Ulm is doing very well. And we have a little bit of relatively nice territory here or there, that even with Yomi's minus 25% malice, we're still actually getting a nice little chunk of income, and that is still with paying Ubar 250 gold every turn. That ends on turn 43, so we're getting close to that, but still got a little bit. So it's actually been nice. We've been able to start recruiting Naminaris in locations, continuing to recruit Dionis in locations, continuing to recruit Shamans, and in various locations here or there. I don't remember if we have anything specifically this turn, but in various locations here or there, I've been able to like recruit small batches of soldiers or like Oni Shugos or things like that, right? So it is not great, but it has been improving, right? So that is important. So hopefully that will continue. And I think that's pretty much it. So not a lot of crazy stuff happening this turn, but the developments with Hinnom, I think are going to be a really big issue. And things are probably about to heat up really, really bad in the next couple of turns. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's going to be it for the turn. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.